Alright, first video on sort of new truck. It's going to be cleaning the, what's it, idle air control valve, I think is what it's called, and the throttle body as well. I'm having a little bit of trouble with idle, and it'll sort of jump up to 3,000 RPM until you come to a stop. Then it dies back down. So I'm going to pull the throttle body off, clean that out, clean out the idle air control valve, and also check some connections, I think at the firewall, because I think people said sometimes those get a little funky, so maybe check if there's any moisture in there, because I was cleaning out the motor. Dry that out, put some dielectric grease in there, so that's that. But yeah, got sort of a new truck because this is what happened to my old truck, which, you know, it still runs and drives, but, you know, the sort of presumed value of the truck is low, you know, even though it's sort of hard to find these types of trucks, but whatever. So it got totaled out and needed a new truck, so picked up this one, which is a 99 Mazda B2500, basically Ford Ranger. There's a cat. Yeah, been working on cleaning out the engine bay, so it's pretty nice. Yeah, body's in decent shape on it. Interior is pretty nice. Some shit in there that I need to clean out just for me. The only real bad spot is, you know, just this right here. Looks like something whacked into this, sort of chipped off the paint there and dented this in a bit. So I'm gonna try to clean that up, maybe take it to a body shop and get that hammered out before I have the bed coated. But yeah, so, and here's the throttle body right here. It's idle air control valve connected to it. So just pull the connectors, disconnect the throttle cable. It looks like 4 bolts hold the throttle body on, which they look like they should be fairly easy to get to. Yeah, and then just take a look and see how it's looking in there. See if maybe that's sort of what's causing the issue. Some people were saying this is the connector, that maybe some moisture and stuff can get in here, so I'll take, you know, blow it out with the compressed air and, you know, then put some dielectric grease along there to keep it all nice and sealed up. But yeah, so I'll go grab my sockets and see what we can do. And just real quick for reference, I'm shooting on my GoPro Hero 4 Black at 1080p, 60 frames a second, and I'm using GorillaPod with a Manfrotto head on it. These are nice, especially for shooting here in the engine bay. I've used it for a couple of my videos. You can, you know, tweak these legs all around as you like, and, you know, get it positioned sort of in funky angles. You know, these bend, you know, whichever way you want them to. And the head itself has this ball, which is, you know, nice for working in here because you can get it positioned however. This base just a quick mount plate, so the GoPro snaps right into it. And then also there's a sort of cam lock here to, you can pan side to side on it, or pivot side to side. Yeah, I like this little setup for shooting videos in engine bays, because, you know, you can get this thing pretty flat to the ground. You know, you can wrap it around various parts of the car, you know, to get the legs positioned just on, you know, whatever you need to, as you can see there. So that's what I'll be using for this video. Looks like this should be fairly straightforward. Yeah, flat blade screwdriver to disconnect that. This should just be able to, yeah, pull this off here. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the truck is, you know, a good few inches higher up than my old one. I'm not a super tall guy, so Trying to get in there to reach around this stuff. It's higher up than I'm used to. Nice genetics. It looks fairly tidy. I mean, the guy did say, I think he cleaned this, but it might have just been, I doubt he actually popped this off and cleaned out the back side, so likely he just sprayed some stuff down in there. Okay, there's that. That connection seems clean. Seems good too. Either way, I'll get some dielectric grease to do those. So those are all the hoses you can see. Yeah, it looks like there is one more down at the bottom there. So hopefully when I pull that out, I can get to it a little better. So it's 10mm bolts holding that on. I'm surprised. Maybe it's just, you know, sort of a hybridization between what, you know, Mazda and Ford are doing. I would have. Wow. That is way freaking loose. Maybe that's part of the idle problem right there. This was not even tight. Jesus Christ. Well, guess I'm glad I found that out. We'll see how the rest of them are. Looks like we do have some anti-seize in there. A little bit. Maybe. That one's a bit tighter, so that's good. Yeah, that first one being totally loose. That's some bullshit right there. Here's my bolt. Gasket still seems to be in decent shape. A little yick around there coming off that idle air control valve. So maybe there is some gunk in there. Let's see. Okay. That hose. Well, here's, get this out entirely. Yeah, so it has got a bit of gunk in there, nothing major. I'm more concerned about the idle air control valve, so pull that, see how that's doing. But yeah, you can see that hose I was wondering about is just right down there. So, not sure where that goes to. I don't have the service manual or anything for this vehicle yet, so I'm sure I could look it up online, but not too much of a concern for me yet. Either way, set up in the garage and get out of this heat for a bit to clean up the throttle body and the air control valve. Alright, so I'm just set up here on the little ramps in my garage because it is currently a war zone in here. Let's see. These are 8mm. They're holding on the idle air control valve. Someday my garage will be clean. Someday. Well, I mean, I don't know how well you can see in there. Doesn't look too horrible, but probably wouldn't hurt to spray it out a bit. And just overall clean on the throttle body a little bit. I mean, it could have been that that loose bolt was the cause of, you know, most of my problems. A little gunky in there. Just have some of this stuff. Doing this over a bucket, so it doesn't get everywhere. And I mean, obviously you can see just where it's been sprayed and where it's not. So, I mean, you know, that just light film is likely not causing any particular issue, but doesn't hurt to clean it up well. We got this open. And this guy. Yeah, that's coming out pretty clean, so. And it could be, I mean, these things sort of wear out. I don't know if this is, I mean, I think this is the manufacturing date on it, which this would make that, you know, the original part for this truck. So, you know, based on what I've cleaned out here, I don't think that's significant enough to have been causing this idle problem. You know, especially in here, this came out, you know, fairly clean. I'll give it a couple more squirts. Then I'll check that connection at the firewall as well. But yeah, it could be that just, you know, this at its age is going bad. You know, which I don't know if this is the same design as on, you know, other makes, but every Ford I've owned has had a problem with this valve. You know, this particular one had a Crown Victoria, had the same sort of valve setup on it, and it also had you know, idle problems as well. Had to replace this on it. All right, so I'll let that idle air control valve sit for a bit. I'm going to check out the connection at the firewall. We'll see how that's looking. So here's a sort of main connector here at the firewall. It is just 10 millimeter in there. I think that's what's holding this on. I mean, it does look like a little bit of grime and stuff has gotten in there. And based on all those little pins, I wish I had some spray instead of paste. But see if I can just put like a little thin layer in the connector. I just use this guy. I mean, it could be just, you know, I mean, you can see here stuff was sort of getting around the edge, and if that was, you know, water or anything from, you know, spray or just cleaning out the engine bay or anything like that, that could potentially cause a problem. Just enough to get these plastic tabs fully seated on there, and that should be that done. So now on with putting the throttle body back in place. All right, got this reassembled. I'm gonna try to plug that in there. This connection, well, it just goes under there, but it seems sort of odd to me because there's no, I mean, it'd be super difficult to get to, so maybe that's why. But, you know, there's no clamp or anything on there. It holds that little rubber hose on here. You know, which obviously it's just feeding right in. So I don't know if that could be causing any sort of vacuum leak there. But we'll see if we can get it back in place. These in place so the gasket doesn't go falling out. See if there's a way to reach under there and get that hose seated at all. And there it went in a bit more, so we'll say that's progress. Alright, so that one, I was worried. I'd looked at it and didn't seem stripped out. It's not, so it's snug enough. I was just concerned, since that one was just completely loose, that it didn't have any threads left in there. So just nab a bit of paper towel, shove that in there. It keeps them pretty snug in there when you're trying to get to. Oh, and one thing I noticed, the bolts on this idle air control valve, they are a bit worn, so obviously somebody's had that off before. In that case, if this doesn't sort it out, it looks like that probably will need replaced. Pop this up over here again. Plug this in while we're there. And this one. Well, don't know what this is for, but this just popped out. Seems like a vacuum line of some sort. So now this looks like it's going on to there's a little valve here on the heater lines. So it looks like this right here is broken. Don't know if I just did that and messing around here. Not sure what that goes to. So let me show you. So it comes onto the back of this little unit there, and these should connect. I mean, I can just get like a little splicer and put those back together, but hopefully that wasn't me that just did that. I'm gonna look at the video and going back and see. Which I assume, since it's coming off there and running into this box for the climate control inside, that has something to do with the heater. So, not that that's needed right now here in Texas, but I'll take a look at it either way. I don't know what torque is on these, but when I get the manual, let's check that out. This just seems like a piece of heater hose. So this is probably not the original hose for on there. And it's a little crimped up, so it's not, proper elbow there. Alright, and besides that little broken connector over there, that's it for taking that apart, cleaning it out, putting it back together. So I'll see how it runs and let you know.